Hello and welcome back to Hold On, I'm Talking Brother. My name is Joe Greenwood and you are listening to our review of UFC 301, which was headlined by Alexandre Pantoja versus Steve Erceg for the flyweight title from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. As per usual, I'm joined by my regular co-host Tom Ballum. Tom, how much of an animal is Alexandre Pantoja? That is my main takeaway from this card, because a dog.
Yeah, truly he is, but that was never in question, Joe. You just have to go to all his performances. He doesn't win these big fights without getting sliced up, without having his head rocked back and forth. That's just part of the game. He wants you to do that to him.
I think that's part of the thing that shocks me about him, is that I'm always like, he can't keep getting away with this. He can't just keep doing this. But lo and behold, he does. And listeners, we go straight to that main event. Alexandre Pantoja defeats Steve Erceg by unanimous decision, 48-47 on two scorecards, 49-46 on the third. So we could just start with a very simple question here, Tom. Before previewing this, you said, who the hell is Steve Erceg? And Tom, let me ask you a question. Who the hell is Steve Erceg?
Steve Erceg is a weight bully, Joe. The giant weight bully who should be fighting a bantamweight. I could not believe the size of the man in there, especially matched up with Pantoja. I did admit to you privately, in utmost confidence after our last pod, that I have not seen Steve Erceg fight, and I wasn't familiar with him before he got this matchup with Pantoja for the belt. My private, most innocent moment, I conferred it over to you, Joe. So it was quite the shock to see this giant, clearly a bantamweight, in the ring there. It seemed like a mismatch. Yeah. Who is Steve Erceg for you, Joe?
Steve Erceg, to me, is a potential future flyweight champion who looks quite undercooked in this fight, I thought. That was an experienced pro against a guy with a lot of potential who's very good in one very particular skill set and is good to decent in everything else, against a guy who actually kind of knows how to win fights, if that makes sense. There were so many moments where Pantoja, what he wanted the whole time was to get to the body lock and to start the grappling exchanges. And Erceg would be landing monster shots on him, huge elbows. And I think Pantoja is almost like testing him in the first round, where it's just like, you can hit me and I'm going to see what it's like for me. Oh, okay, yeah, I'll just walk forwards. You're not going to knock me out. And I think that kind of flummoxed Erceg at points for me. Even though, I will say, I was very impressed with Steve Erceg in this fight. I was worried about the cardio of, I could see Erceg winning the first two and then Pantoja taking over. I didn't foresee back and forth, round for round scoring between these two.
Well, that suggests there was back and forth, round to round scoring, which is somewhat of a contentious point. If you listen to the commentary team, they thought that Erceg could be 3 rounds up, going into the final stages there. Both corners, however, scored it the first 3 rounds to Pantoja and thus won their fighter. Either you can take the next one off, or don't worry, those are in the bank, or you've got to go and get after him now because you've just lost 3 rounds. In the end, the judges didn't agree with either corner.
No.
Which brings us to how we saw the fight.
Yeah.
Now, you mentioned the first round there where Pantoja kind of felt Erceg out, as in he let him land a few shots. Was that the story of the first round? Not for me, Joe.
What was the story for you?
I mean, I thought Pantoja won that round. I'd be
yeah. Is there a contentious idea that Erceg won it?
No, I don't believe so. But if we're going to say the story of the round was that Erceg was able to get some shot from Pantoja, it kind of it doesn't do justice to the fact that Pantoja did win that round. He didn't win it by taking shots.
No, he won the round through control, through ground and pounds, through positional control. That's how he won the round. I know that they kept harping on in the commentary about the damage side of things, and like it was something that reminded me of that sort of Dominic Cruz thing where it's just like, oh, he's cut him in round 2, so does that mean we score the cut from him in round 3? And it's like, well, obviously not, because it happened in round 2. Like there's a thing called time, and there's clear breaks in the time in this, so that's part of it and how we score it. And it's like, I think that during that commentary when I was listening to it, they were scoring rounds for Erceg based off previous rounds and his performance in it, and maybe the perception of overperformance, if that makes sense, where it's just like, wow, this guy who's ranked number 10 is doing really well. But, that's kind of not how it goes. And for me, Pantoja, round 1 is so clearly Pantoja, like, it'd be ludicrous to suggest otherwise now. That's where he got a quarter of his overall control time, was in the first round. And I know that people want to go, oh, but damage. I'm sorry, man, like, control is also part of this at a certain stage. Like that, I know that damage is the primary scoring, but if you're telling me that like Erceg, who landed less, is significantly more impressive in his damage than Pantoja in that first round, for me that's not the case at all.
So taking us on to the second round then. For me, I watched this morning. I was fresh. 0 beers consumed. You'll be pleased to hear at the time of the morning that I was watching it. And it was more of the same. I just saw the same round again, more or less, until I started hearing towards the end of the round the commentary team praising Erceg's striking, highlighting the damage he was doing to Pantoja coming in. And it kind of made me think, well, what have I missed? Do I need to go back and watch this again? And I did. I ended up watching it for a second time, and I felt much the same way. Pantoja was just beating him in the grappling department. That was something that ran through the fight, and Erceg even highlighted at the end. The biggest surprise in this fight was how well Pantoja scrambled. He's used to being the better man in those positions. Pantoja landing 3 of 6 takedowns, relentless pressure, taking a little bit of damage, but kind of matching him up for strikes. I thought it was a clear Pantoja round.
I went with Erceg for round 2 because I felt that he landed the most significant strike of the round.
The elbow.
The big elbow, yeah. And I think if we went strike for strike up to that point, I would have given it to Pantoja. But for me, that one big significant moment where he really kind of cracked Pantoja with it, that's for me the big defining swing towards Erceg. I say swing, lean towards Erceg for the scoring. But again, it's like, if it was, apart from that, I don't think I could have really given it to Erceg, so hence my lean towards him. But yeah, I'm the same as you are. It's like, they kept going on about Erceg striking, which I will say was like very impressive. Like, I thought it was really, really impressive. Like, nice pouring combinations, lovely elbows being thrown in there. Nice left hook off the uppercut that Erceg was throwing, like really, really nice sort of combos. But I think that Erceg's combinations look a lot nicer than Pantoja's, so that's why.
Which is a 1-2 and a big galloping overhand right.
Yeah, exactly.
As he crashes forward through the fire. Yeah, no, there was definitely Erceg is the slicker striker. Typically, I also lean towards damage. I get fed up with. Yes, control time, but without submission attempts, without damage.
Sure.
But I just, in this case, the elbow, it's certainly damage, but did it deter Pantoja? They seem to suggest so in the commentary booth, but it's not really what I saw. I think that what they're leaning onto is the fact that he's pouring at it in the middle of the fight, like he's going to touch at it, and he did immediately.
So I think that's showing that, like, it is actually affecting him. And I think, it probably is affecting because that hand is no longer on Erceg and it's touching his own head. So it's like, okay, yeah, it has affected him.
But not in the same way, like, if you see a knockdown,
of course,
or if you see a takedown, that can change a fighter's whole style. If you get taken down and held there, then suddenly you're not throwing those kicks that could be caught. If you get knocked down and your defense falls away, like, those are big swings. I just saw more of the same from Pantoja. Yeah, there was a little bit more urgency, perhaps, on those takedowns.
Yeah.
But those takedowns, they still came, and that's. I think I'm not. It's not egregious to give the round to.
No.
To Erceg, but I feel
far from it. I think that, again, that's the other story of the fight, is that Pantoja was just busy, like the whole time. Like he was busy that fight, and then going into round 3, which I think is, like for me, even more of like a definitive Pantoja round than maybe even the first.
Ooh.
Maybe it's up there with that. The first of like clear Pantoja round, just busy. Keep him busy. Like Erceg's hitting these really sweet combinations as he's going backwards, and then Pantoja's like, well, I'm just going to keep punching through them until I get the body lock, and that just kept happening throughout that round.
I mean, I will say, you said it at the start of the show here that you say, well, surely Pantoja can't take more of this, and I had that moment. Not so much in the 4th, but there was a point where you start to think, like, man, this damage is going to start to tell, and he's clearly not enjoying taking these shots. I felt like Brandon Moreno, he kind of enjoyed it in a way. It was part of the mayhem.
Yeah.
But, he was a bit more cautious here. Quite such a shock and awe performance against Moreno. Then it came to the 4th.
Yeah.
And this was an interesting one because I felt the whole way through, all right, Pantoja's taking this off.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's taking this off, and he's going to come out big in the 5th. Erceg then, I mean, basically no takedown attempts. 0 for 1 officially on the stats, whereas he was 3 for 3 in round 2, 3 out of 6 in round 2. Sorry, 3 for 3 in round 3, 3 out of 6 in round 2, and 2 out of 5 in round 1. 0 of 1. No question it was an Erceg round.
Yeah.
But I didn't see the huge explosion coming out of Pantoja in the 5th.
No, I think Pantoja was going to take that one off as well, which is dicey, because I had the 4th. 4th is a clear Erceg round.
So they're tied up going into the final.
Yeah, and I wonder also, is there like a sort of meta game plan that Pantoja's going for? It's just like, I've knackered this guy out in 3 rounds. I'm taking the 4th off. He ain't going to take me down, and his shots aren't going to knock me out. Though. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, that was madness, like going for those takedowns. Like, What was that? Was that him saying, I'm going to prove a point against this guy?
No, I think it was naivety, Joe. I think he just didn't adjust. He said after the fight that he was really shocked that he didn't come out best in those positions, and yet he persisted with the same game plan. It's like the Poirier guillotine.
Can't wait to see that in 4 weeks. Yeah.
Oh Lord, please. I think he's got to be criticised quite heavily for that, because particularly in the 5th, Pantoja didn't come out all that sharp, and it looked like a continuation of the 4th round until Erceg initiated a grappling exchange where Pantoja ended up on top and saw out the fight like that the last 2 minutes or so.
Yeah, it was bizarre choice from Erceg to make for that dive. I mean, what was his thinking, really? I mean, he was doing well on the feet. If he just kept it on the feet in that 5th round with the way Pantoja was going, he would have won that 5th. And then on my scorecards, he would have won the fight.
Yeah.
And
on 2 of the judges' scorecards, I believe, as well.
Yeah. I would honestly, the reaction I had, I yelled, what on earth is he doing? It was disastrous.
Yeah, it was.
It was disastrous. Yeah. That is all-time bad decision-making, which is only forgivable for the fact that he's so inexperienced within the UFC, so inexperienced in front of fighting in front of that sort of crowd. First 5-round fight,
It would have frustrated me if that had gone down, because if I took the fight as a whole, regardless of that little bit of control time that Pantoja had at the end, if I just discard that and say Erceg never begins that exchange, I felt like Pantoja won the fight overall.
See, this is why you need to go to the pride scoring. Fight overall, not this. Which I'm kind of for. I'm kind of for that in a way. I don't know. I know what you mean. Who initiated the fight? Who caused the most damage and drama? It's 50-50, I think. But
it probably is, yeah. On the damage and drama front, yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is that I think Pantoja's actions, because he is just constantly busy, at least in those first 3 rounds, it would kind of feel a bit gutting that he put in all that work to then come up short off the basis of Erceg jabbing him up in the 4th and 5th because he took it off because his coach had said you were 3-0 up. Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's why he did do it, or maybe that damage was telling, or maybe he's just getting, he's getting a bit old. He is getting up there, I believe, 30, 34 now, isn't he, Pantoja? And we know about the curse once you hit 35.
Yeah.
Yeah, Joe, I guess this is a question I have for you.
Go on.
So, yeah, Erceg's striking stood out for you, how he was able to mix in the elbows, the odd knee, and, of course, fighting off a solid jab. Did damage to Pantoja. What was more impressive, Erceg's striking or Pantoja's scrambling?
Oh. I think because the target of Pantoja is so linear that I'm kind of like... It's not like Erceg had to cut crazy angles on him to land those shots.
No.
Whereas Erceg's grappling was like... I was actually surprised at how good it was. Like, I knew it was pretty good, but... for what he limited Pantoja from doing, that was super impressive. So Pantoja to still be levels ahead and to like give him only one route out of certain things so that he knew he could take his back.
Yeah.
Man, that's so clever.
It was elite is what it was. And I think that's why overall I felt like Pantoja won the fight, because he was so good. He just came alive in those exchanges. Truly impressive stuff. The Granby roll in the fifth, he was just a couple of steps ahead, and he just looked so dynamic down there. Like he was in disadvantageous positions. Like Erceg was able to create those moments where Pantoja might slip off the back, he was coming off the side, or kind of rolling through to Erceg being on top, and then Pantoja, like in the blink of an eye almost, would change the whole positioning, despite not having a strength advantage or a size advantage. He was electric on the mat, and that was the most striking thing about the fight for me. I've seen it from him before, but it was really world class.
So, what do you want? What do we want for Pantoja now? Because he has beaten everyone he's fought in the top 10. I think his record is like 8-0 against the top 5. That's
thank you,
madness.
Brandon Moreno.
Yeah. Yeah, like really is impressive. The only guy of any significance in relation to flyweight that he's got something against is Figueiredo, who's obviously gone up a division. It's interesting for Pantoja now. I think Makayev is the obvious one, I guess, and that would be interesting to see from a grappling perspective.
Do you hate Mohamed Albazi? Sorry, Amir Albazi. Not to just typecast him. Amir Albazi.
I wasn't that impressed with the Kai Kara-France win.
No.
I had Kara-France actually winning that.
Oh, right.
So, maybe Makayev Albazi. I don't know, I kind of want Makayev to get the title fight because I know so many people dislike him. So I'm kind of like pro Makayev. And also I just think, from what I've seen on a Makayev in a grappling sense, him versus Pantoja, like a guy who's like super busy all the time against Makayev.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Control over everything. And
the flavour that could come out of that fight could be like, it could be like Saruki and Gamrot sort of like level of fight, I feel like, potentially. So that's why I'm sort of leaning.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, Erceg, I mean, I feel like he should be like a top 5 guy now for loss, which is, I know, odd, but he should be up there. And Royval, Moreno, Kara-France, Cap, any one of those I'm happy with.
Yeah, with you on that, Joe. Alex Perez, obviously, coming up.
Perez, yeah.
Yeah.
All good in my mind. All good in my mind. So, Tom, let's go back to our picks. You picked Pantoja to win by sub.
Yes, it was by sub.
Just the 1 point for you, I'm afraid. Key indeed. Now, let's go to this co-main event, and 37-year-old Jose Aldo, the greatest fighter of all time, comes back and just puts on a absolute masterclass against Jonathan Martinez. A big brother in. He got beaten by his dad. He got the whole family took a go on Martinez when it was Aldo, who put on one of the great minimalist performances I've ever seen in the cage. There wasn't a lot there, but what was there was techers. It was absolute techers, and I was just I was in love with every second of this fight, just to watch Aldo checking leg kicks, boxing him up, taking him, and then that mercy takedown at the end where he's just like, "I'm not going to ruin your career. Let's just ride this out. I'll let you look busy. Just to." Don't you feel good now? I know you're crying in the cage right now, but you've just been Aldo'd, son. Like that's as you can tell, listeners, I'm very happy that Aldo won, and Tom, you must be delighted as well that Aldo won.
Yeah, of course. Putting our competition to one side, which is obviously a tragedy, but outmatched perhaps on this occasion by Aldo getting a win in front of the Rio crowd. Something that was robbed of him by that disgrace from Georgia. So yeah. It was fantastic, and I think you summed it up really well, Joe. Certainly minimalist, very much obliged by Jonathan Martinez. Who?
Oh God, yeah.
I mean, you nailed it in the preview when you said he's just got no answers for that kind of defense. What's he going to do when he gets in front of them? How's he going to work into those spaces? He's not. He's just going to stand and take those shots. As soon as the kicking game doesn't get through, well, he's just going to stand there, Joe. He's barely going to. Mount any sort of offense. He's not going to mix anything up, and he's not going to work any sort of grappling either.
No.
There was a brief moment of that. I think it was in the second. A poor imitation of Merab, if I do say so myself.
What was the Cormier commentary line? Do you remember it? This is an exercise in futility, trying to take, which is oh my God.
And thank you to the ref who stepped in pretty quick and just all right, son.
Even he knew, just like, what are you doing?
Which we could have done some of that in Aldo's last run against Merab. I never won't be salty about that, but yeah, it was a throwback. I mean, he was crisp, he was fast, the combination's delicious. Well, the way he rips the body with those hooks, very nice.
Just real rib roasters, and multiple body shots in a row. Actually, that was something that Erceg could have done in that title fight, just to open up the head even a bit more.
And Jonathan Martinez himself, I mean, he was kind of mirroring Aldo with the high guard. Aldo was then changing his offense because of that, and Martinez, he just didn't adapt. It was a really poor performance from him. But, that's what Jose Aldo does to people.
Yeah, I love what you're saying as well. Just like, it's not open up for me. I'll just stand here. I'll wait for you. Yeah. I'm quick enough, trust me. I can see what you're going to do before you do it, so it's fine. Don't worry, kid. But what do you make of Aldo's thing now? Because that was the last fight in his contract. And he's saying, I need to talk to Dana and Sean. Yeah. That's like, I thought I might have a fight contract. I want a title fight. Just give him the title fight, I'd say. Like, fuck everyone else. I don't care about Merab. Give me Jose Aldo. Merab has to do this crazy... Merab goes out there, I'm the king of Mexico. He does all these, character bits. I'm crazy and whatnot. And it's just like, yeah, but your fights are boring and Aldo's sick and... He's the greatest fighter of all time, and I want him in a title fight, in potentially his last fight. Fucking give it to me. I'm sure O'Malley would want that as well.
Yeah, O'Malley would take that fight. Yeah, be great. They talk about legacy and resume and all of that. You can't take a name like Jose Aldo. That's right up there. So O'Malley would love it. I don't know if the UFC would go for it, and I don't know if I'm going for it. I'm a bit confused about this fight, Joe. I didn't expect it to happen, and here we are. It's kind of a nice way to finish.
Right.
He's gonna want at least the same money, right?
More probably. Yeah. He's coming off a win.
Yeah.
And he could ride off into PFL if he wanted to, for even more money. Absolutely Merc Fool's there.
It's hard to see. I mean, and obviously he's got a lot of value still. Hard to see how the UFC have played this. I think we probably would have expected Martinez to come through. I don't know.
Yeah, it's an odd one actually. Now that you think about it, because it's not like if it was Dominic Cruz Aldo, where it's like, okay, we're giving you two legends fight.
Yeah,
one is absolutely washed, and the other one is still Jose Aldo. So it's like, how good is he? How good are each of those guys? And also factor in the booking now that they've just booked Sandhagen Nurmagomedov for August. And it's like, okay, there's a clear, we're moving certain cogs in place. We're going to have Merab Sean. We've got Umar versus Sandhagen. Cejudo's kind of floating there. Figueiredo's kind of floating there in and around those rankings. Who can kind of slip into those top five?
Those two that you mentioned there, Joe, they're the matchups if it's not going to be O'Malley and he is going to persist. Henry Cejudo, Dominic Cruz, or Davison Figueiredo. All of them, I'm in favour of those fights. I don't know. Like, they don't want him to go and win the belt and then retire. They hate that. Rightly so.
Yeah, of course.
In
of course.
my opinion. So I don't know what you do with this. This could be one and done. And if that is the end, then thank you, Jose. It was a great pleasure to see you go out like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you also... Can you factor this in as well? When Aldo was the featherweight champion, Edgar was the lightweight champion, and Cruz was the bantamweight champion. If they had just been that champ thing at that stage, Aldo could have been the 3-weight champion very easily. And I think he would have been. Man, I fucking love Jose Aldo, honestly. In a weekend where John Jones is on Twitter doing everything he can do to not fight Tom Aspinall, and I got Aldo out there fighting some young buck, schooling him and saying, like, give me a title shot. I know who my goat is. I know who my goat is.
Consistent and regular performer, such longevity, like not shying away from any matchups. Like, we all knew Merab was not a nice fight. He's coming off 3-fight win streak. He could have probably just sat and got a shot at the belt, but he went out there for the good of humanity.
Squash Merab
and tried to just deal with the Merab problem. So judges had him coming up short. Retires on that note, and then they're in Rio. The call goes out. What a showing! Like,
it's a lovely ending, isn't it?
It is, and so, it's not many champs get to go out like that. So maybe Jose, think carefully about your next moves.
Right.
Don't be a Henry Cejudo.
No, don't. Do not do that. Fight Cejudo. Oh my God, Aldo Cejudo. Oh, he would absolutely school him. Right. Now we're going to get to this point in the main card now, which is going to be called the Jabroni Clear Out, and that is exactly what we saw in these next 3 fights, starting with Anthony Smith subbing Vitor Petrino. And as soon as he went for that takedown, by the way, and I saw Smith's arms there, I'm like, oh, he's in trouble. He's in trouble. Because did you notice Smith threw one leg kick, and then Petrino immediately changed his demeanour, his game plan changed entirely, he stopped boxing, he went straight for a takedown and got subbed. He literally took Anthony Smith down and put himself in a guillotine.
Yeah.
He stinks.
He subbed himself, Joe. No, I'm sorry. He subbed himself. That's what happened right there. Anthony Smith locked up his arms, and Petrino took him down to the mat. Like, obliged him 100%. It was shocking.
Yeah. He wasn't going to... Anthony Smith wasn't going to jump for the guillotine.
No.
Like, he wasn't going to jump up and wrap the legs around. He was just like, I'll wait.
But Petrino showed no hesitancy. Like, it was unbelievable. He kind of lifted him up, gave him a chance to get his legs in position, and then sat himself down straight into the submission. He was being submitted as he initiated his own takedown. It was absolutely shocking. It was so poor. And look, Joe, it's embarrassing for you and I. We came out here and we were pretty damning in our preview of...
Still stands.
Anthony Smith. Yeah.
Still stands.
I mean, like, this is the only way that Smith wins this fight.
Yeah.
Petrino obliged him to the utmost. He did himself, Joe. It was unbelievable.
Off of one leg kick.
Yeah.
If he was just like, oh shit, he's kicked me in the leg, I've got to bang him out. I've just got to swing for the fences and just knock this guy out.
I mean, is it like...
He kept throwing this weird thing, like hook, like leaping hook. Him and Baraya were doing that. It was very odd. Very, very odd. No, Petrino's a jabroni. Get him out of here.
Oh, complete jabroni. And, yeah, I mean, really. Like, this is the only way he could lose the fight. I
can't get past it.
You watch any tape on Anthony Smith, like, okay, he might be washed.
Yeah.
He might have taken a lot of damage. He might not have a whole lot of resilience. But he is a vet,
Yes.
He can do his stuff. If you give him a guillotine, he'll take a guillotine. If you give up your back, he'll RNC you.
How did you not see how is watching the Ozdemir fight and the Gustafsson fight not part of your tape study for that? Yeah. 2 fights where he's getting beaten up, and then he gets 2 subs because they both made mistakes.
Yeah.
And by the way, they didn't even make that level of mistake where they dived into the submission and then put themselves in it deeper. It was like Smith actually had to fight for that submission. This one, he was just like, oh, okay, I'll just guillotine you.
What's he thinking? Is he just thinking, I'll just explode out of this? Is that, or Smith will give up the guillotine when I slam him on the mat? Or what is going on?
I sometimes think about this, where I'm thinking, do fighters go like, okay, now this is what I'm supposed to do now, rather than this is what I should do now? Like, the natural flow of the sport is, okay, I've gone for the takedown. I know he's got his arms in there. I'll take him down anyway, and then we'll go from there, rather than actually... I didn't think he didn't think more than one step ahead. if that makes sense. I think he was just like, I'll just take him down. And I was like, oh shit, I'm being subbed. Like, it wasn't like, I'll take him down like this so that I can then do that. It was just, that's it. That's all I've got. So, very poor. I will watch this guy again, though, because he does look monstrous and kind of hilarious. But he's got that Ryan Spann mark against him now, isn't he? Like,
I think Spann beats this guy. I'm sorry, that was so. I just don't really have the words to express myself about how poor that was. He's a ranked light heavyweight.
Light heavyweight's a bad division.
Yeah, it's clearly.
Yeah, very, very bad division. Right. Well, let's talk about this one. Michel Pereira defeats Ihor Potieria under a minute. Another guillotine. He knocked him down. He did the backflip, which was sick. And then people were like, oh, he might have landed his knee illegally to his head. And people were like, oh, well, it was by accident. To which I said, what was he trying to do then? Like, was he just
I don't know. What was?
Does he know?
No. Entertain.
Which
did he do it?
Oh, 5 stars, 10 out of 10. Perfect entertainment performance. Perfect.
Yeah, I mean, it was a Tekken style finish, where he taps and then just lets go and the guy falls backwards.
Yeah. The standing guillotine and all that. Yeah. I mean, it was just. It wasn't much of a fight. I mean, he just blew through him.
Yeah.
Like, it was just beat him up and did a backflip and then choked him out. Like,
yeah.
It's almost like UFC 2 or something, isn't it? Just
I guess we have to look at that, maneuver when Potieria is downed. Does it land? Does it land on the head? Is it significant blow?
It's a significant blow. I don't know if it's to the head.
So, we know, like, if he knocks him out with that, then he's disqualified, right? We know that.
I thought that's what they were going to do.
Oh.
Which would have been like, I would have been very annoyed.
Yeah.
I think they kind of looked at him and go like, this guy sucks. Like,
it was glancing as well, Joe. It wasn't. If it lands flush, I don't know. It's a shame, but you've got to disqualify him.
Yeah, but it didn't, so it's fine. And let's get Michel Pereira against some name.
Yeah.
And I mean name.
Yep.
I'm talking Jared Cannonier. I'm talking something like that. Let's get him up there.
I'm with you. It's still unranked.
10 in a row.
8. Is it 10? No, it's 8, isn't it?
No, it's more than that, I think. I think it's more than that. He's on a great run.
Yeah.
I mean, again, I still look at him and go like, this guy could be fucking like heavyweight. This guy's a monster.
It is 8, but
it's 8.
It's all the same. 8 wins in the UFC in one of the, better divisions. It's good stuff. Move him up. I mean, it's kind of waste of time fighting Potieria, but he did what he was supposed to do, and let's see.
Delete?
I love it. I just think there's a lot of great matchups actually for him. I think Cannonier could be fun. I mean, Paulo Costa, Imavov. I like a lot of these fights. I'm not saying I like him to win them, but I like the spectacle.
I do. I fancy him to beat Imavov and Delete.
How far can he go?
I think title contender.
Good lord.
I honestly think he'd get top 5. It's middleweight. Dricus du Plessis is the champion. Come on, son. Like, let's not like start pretending this is like lightweight or something.
I mean, it's really interesting. Like, before this run began, sorry.
Ran began, yeah.
Yeah. He was 23-11.
Yeah. Not a great record.
Just picked him up. He was fighting in Serbian Battle Championship in 2018.
Legends. This is great. I love it. I remember his debut when he was like jumping off the cage against Danny Roberts. Danny Roberts is kind of like there going like, what am I supposed to do against this? This is madness. I mean, I was a bit annoyed when he sort of changed his style a bit and he was just like fought a bit more within himself.
Yeah, I remember.
But now he seems to be like letting himself loose a bit more now because like he's up at middleweight. Maybe the cut's not so bad, although I believe it is still like a 20-pound weight cut.
Yeah,
which is mental. Anyway, enough of that. Caio Baralho, Paul Craig. I mean, Jesus Christ. What was the worst performance? Craig or Petrino?
No, Petrino.
Okay.
No, I mean, Paul Craig isn't getting caught in that.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. I mean, it was Paul Craig, wasn't it? It was
terrible.
Yeah, I mean, he is terrible. He's a one-trick pony.
Yeah.
And he looks so slow here. Like, people
Yeah.
have been moaning at him for just kind of, scooting his butt along the floor and hoping people will oblige him coming into his guard. But when your stand-up is this bad, Joe.
Yeah.
Like, I used to think, all right, the man can kick. But
Yeah.
then I didn't realise, like, okay, he kicks, but in that eon of time before that kick lands, his head is just right there on the centre line.
Of course.
And Barrio just couldn't believe his luck. He kind of looks bad himself because Craig was just there to be hit with the same shot over and over again, and Barrio kind of got reckless with it.
What I don't understand about Craig as well, we'll get to Barrio, because I did think it was a good performance from him considering the opposition. And I like the fact that Barrio... Actually, I'll just talk about Barrio now. I like that he was just like, I've got to kill this dude. Like, I can't just go to a decision and just take the win. Like, I've got to make a statement. Again, Barrio, like Pereira, get him up there. Get him fighting some decent name. You know, these are two guys that are on good runs. Like, let's clear out some of this division. Let's like get this... Let's get a bit of churn going. Let's get the gears going. Because, if, Izzy becomes champion, I'm not assuming he's going to stay for that much longer. And... I think Drickus is quite a tricky guy to negotiate with. So, I want there to be like a decent wedge of people up there just in case something happens in that title picture. Also, I'm assuming if Hamzat fights for the title, then, again, he's not going to be an easy guy to negotiate with. So, again, fresh names. I want them up there. I want to see this turnover. Going back to Paul Craig, though, how, he thinks that this is a game plan that works out. He should be looking at Pantoja and thinking, fuck it, I just got to go for it. I just got to, literally wade into people, try and get a body lock and go from there. Pulling guard in 2024, Jesus Christ, And it's not like pulling guard and then immediately going into someone else. It's literally pulling guard on a guy. It's dragging his ass along the ground to, get some... who's falling for that? Come on, man.
Yeah, I'm with you, Joe. I don't know if you can take any inspiration from Pantoja, because Pantoja has a chin. Paul Craig has been knocked out in 2 of his last 4 fights. So yeah, it's grim, but they have jiu-jitsu competitions.
Yeah, but that's true.
You don't have to engage in the sport.
But if he wants to do this though, it's either I'm either going to get knocked out in 2.5 rounds, or I can get go after it and maybe get knocked out inside a round. But I could also create something crazy where I can snatch up a sub. Do you know what I mean? He's doing nothing to create his game plan.
I mean, I think if
it's all very conventional, basically.
Your fighting style is reduced to how fast you get knocked out, which you just seem to suggest it was.
It's about my entertainment.
It's probably time to look at something else.
I'll let you answer that, Tom.
No,
it's all good. It's all good.
I've already turned it off. Let's keep going.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kaya Baraya. What are we saying? Same thing. Delize, Vittori, something like that.
Yeah.
Hernandez.
I mean, I guess the question is, who is the better contender?
Pereira's the showier one.
He's more fun, but Barrio's not. He's not boring. He's not,
especially not after this one.
No. Wait, I think he's a more complete fighter. Let's be real.
Yeah. I think being a more complete fighter is actually a negative when it comes to middleweight and light heavy. I think you actually need to have massive flaws. If you look at Alexander Rakic, he tried to become a good all-round fighter and then he got knocked out. You need to be a weird guy who does weird stuff and you'll get somewhere. Do you know what I mean? Or you need to be very limited but very good at one thing. And I don't know what Pereira is very good at. It seems to be just exploding across the cage. But I'll take it. Thank you. I'll have another. It's I don't know. I just want Pereira out there constantly though. If he can make the weight and it doesn't hurt him to do it, get him out there in 8 weeks' time.
There's no card that he doesn't make better. That's the thing, really. Whereas Barrio, you give him certain matchups and you think, do we have to have that on the main card?
Yeah.
Barrio versus Vittori.
Do you think either of
main
these
event
two...
of a fight night? Ugh.
Do you think either of these two fight for a title?
I think that's an interesting question because you have to look at their performances. Barrio, isn't it 6 in a row for him? As we said, eight for Pereira. Like, those are serious records. And Barrios 31 years old. So yeah, I absolutely think they can fight for a title. Absolutely. As you said, we got a bit of stodge at the top of the division. The likes of Vittori, Hermansson, Cannonier. And, oh my God, Pereira's younger than Barrios.
I know.
Pereira's 30. What?
I know.
What a life that man has lived. When's the documentary coming out?
Wait, hold on. Actually, that's a good question. What was Michel Pereira's? So his first fight was in 2011. So he was 18.
Yeah. Crazy.
18 years old.
Yep.
He'd only been 18 for 2 months, and he had his first pro fight.
Wow.
That is crazy. Oh, my God. I mean, just out there, just fighting random dudes and see how it went. Right. Well, should we go over who we picked, Tom? And
no time for that this week, unfortunately. But we can look.
Hold on, we're only at 40 minutes. Very thin card, listeners. I don't know if you could tell. I think you'll find is that Jose Aldo won, and that gave me 2 points. And I think overall I got 4 points compared to Tom's.
Listen,
3.
At this point I have to open the listeners' mailbag, Joe. Now look,
I'm the champ.
The people have spoken, and they want to see the championship fights recognised with double.
We're not doing the double scoring. Enough of the double scoring. I'm never doing the double scoring again. Enough of that.
Congratulations, Joe. I mean, like I said,
Thank
if you're gonna win it, then winning it with a Jose Aldo win is the way to do it.
That's how I felt as well. Yeah, I felt.
Yeah. Silly pick, Steve Erceg. Silly pick, but
it was one round away. He was one bad takedown away from winning the title. So, amen. It's all good. It's all good. Anyway. Prelims, anything decent on there that we want to talk about?
Well, I just have to give a shout out to Jack Shaw.
Poor lad.
Yeah, poor lad. In a very dark place in his career right now. Once touted as the hot.
I thought he was the bee's knees. This guy.
Yeah. How quickly things can change. Of course he took that loss to Ricky Simone, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was his first loss.
Yeah. And then did he lose another one before going up to featherweight?
No, he beat Amir Khani. But that was over a year ago. I don't know what's going on. Is he having quite serious health problems? Because
of the shin variety.
Well, yeah. He's only 29, though. He's only 29. I don't know. Maybe you could get a bit of a run going at featherweight. I don't know. It's just a bit of a... I mean, that was a brutal... I mean, the leg kicks leading up to that were horrendous, but yeah, that was pretty bad. Who was the guy? Miktepek Oralbai against Elvis Brenner. That was a fight that we talked about beforehand. Impressive.
Yeah, you on board? Are we departing the station?
Yeah, I think the doors are starting to close, and if you're not getting on it now, then you're not allowed on, because this guy's a menace. Even on the feet, I was just going to out-grapple him. He's just no, even on the feet, he was just busting him up. And yeah, no, this guy looks nasty. He looks really, really nasty. Again, Elvis Brenner and this guy, give him ranked fighters. I don't care. Get them up there. You know what I mean?
At lightweight, though, of course, a bit of a different division. Pretty stacked with talent. I mean, Oralbai wasn't a flawless performance. I think we say there was a bit of an issue with the gas tank, and some decision making in the fight left a little bit to be desired. He would be enjoying some success on the feet, really lighting Brenner up, and he'd keep falling into these takedowns, and Brenner would reverse him.
It's only 26 though, so he's got a long way to go. Mauricio Houfi, is that how you say his name? Ruffy?
I didn't see this fight, Joe, so you
didn't see this? Oh my days. He just absolutely styled and profiled on Jamie Malarkey. Have you not seen this? Oh, go out your way and watch this. He absolutely whooped him. He crushed Malarkey. And not even in the sense of the typical Jamie Malarkey fight where, Malarkey has his moments. He did not have a single second of this fight where he was in it. And even when he did land on Houfi, I think how you say his name, he landed his right hand and Houfi's head spun with it and then snapped back. So it was kind of but it was just almost like he's dancing, if that sort of thing. I just was not bothered. Big karate stance. Had an amazing scissor sweep takedown as well that he landed on Malarkey, which I think he was just doing to fuck around. Then gets on the mic and calls out Makhachev.
Oh, wow.
What a lunatic this guy is.
Love
it's
that.
because he beat Makhachev's training partner to get into the UFC on the Contender Series. He knocked him out.
Well, work your angles.
Perfect.
Yeah, good stuff. Good
Yeah.
stuff. This is the joy of the early prelims. A young man
Yes.
like that arriving onto the scene. But, Joe, people want to know, what about Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Yasmin Lucindo? What stood out to you in that one?
That was a big old skip on that one, I'm afraid, Tom. So that's a no-can-do for me. Yeah, that's it, really. UFC 301. Pretty bad.
Yeah. I mean, you asked me beforehand, Joe, before we came on the mic here, how did I feel about it? And bless them, these guys. There were some good performances out there. I watched it dutifully, but I can't say at any point I was like, oh, this fight is like, oh, if I just get through this, then, of course, Jose Aldo coming out and having a great performance is the moment. But, nah. This was poor. It was a poor card.
Yeah, it was poor. Do you know what I want to do, just quickly, Tom? Before we wrap this up. 2 fight nights coming up. Next one is headlined by Derek Lewis versus Rodrigo Nascimento. But that's not the story here, Tom. We know what it is. It's the co-main event. He got his shot in his hometown. I cannot wait for the walkout and the pop for Joaquin Numancer Buckley against Nursultan Ruziboyev, who is a big man. He is a gigantic middleweight. Isn't he 6'5"? He's my height. Like, this guy is an absolute monster. And he's fighting Buckley, who, as we know, Tom, from that Imavov fight, when he fought up at middleweight, is not 6'5". It claims he's 5'10", which there's a bit of creative license with that, I'm afraid, with the 5'10" on Buckley. How are you feeling for our boy Numancer?
Well, he's put out some content showing that there are other tall men in St. Louis, and therefore it'll be fine. He has been fighting them, welcoming them to the gym.
Yeah.
None of them were. Is this man Uzbek? An Uzbek coming in with a pretty strong record into the UFC. 2 fights, obviously beating Bruno Ferreira and Cedric Dumas. But this is the big time. This is Joaquin. I guess I can't get the Imavov fight out of my head where Joaquin, he was really spirited. He fought really well. Huge looping overhooks from one side of the cage to the other to try to catch
combos. Yeah.
to try to catch your man on the end of it, but it was just a feat too much. So, yeah, love Joaquin, and I hope he can find a way.
I think he's going to do it. I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win. I think he can do it. I think this is just too big of a cut for this guy to really do it. Because he's fought at welterweight before this guy, and I think his record's like 2-5 at welterweight. So I don't know if this is a good idea for him health-wise to do this, but I'm excited for it. Joaquin, I'm pulling for you, man. Can I just bring up what the next fight night after that is? It's in the Apex, Tom, and it's headlined by Edson Barbosa versus Lerone Murphy.
Who?
Lerone Murphy, undefeated English featherweight. You've seen Lerone Murphy. He's fought 5 times in the UFC, Tom. He's defeated Makwan Amirkhani, Josh Kulabau.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, Lerone Murphy, he speaks to what I was saying about these lower weight classes, lightweight and featherweight. You can have a 5-fight streak, or in his case, a 13-fight streak. You can have fought in the UFC, and yet you've never made a main card, and nobody knows your name. But the Miracle has pulled it off. He's got a main event slot.
Against Edson Barbosa.
It's a nice slot to get.
Yeah.
38-year-old Barbosa. Is this the breakout moment for Lerone Murphy?
Ooh. I don't know, man. It's hard for me to pick against Barbosa, particularly if you're a striker as well. People get caught in that trap, don't they? They look at him and they go like, well, he's 38 years old. You know, it's like... I know, by the way, the UFC have bumped Barbosa up 1 space in the rankings above Bryce Mitchell, which is obviously very sneaky. We know what you're doing there, UFC. They obviously couldn't put him 10, because that'd be ludicrous. But, yeah, man, I don't know. I just don't want to fall into that trap of going like, yeah, Edson's washed. I mean, he is washed, but he's still sneaky. Do you know what I mean? And he's got that new Brazilian horse meat diet that he's going to be on with that new drug system in the UFC. So I'm hyped to see that, to be honest. Actually, yeah, fuck it. I'm going to say that's going to be a good fight. Adrian Yanez on that card as well, getting back winning ways. And also, Tom, you'll like this one. Your boy, Abus Magomedov, is back facing Wally Alves. Get Alves a title shot if he wins.
Ugh.
Are you not up for that?
Nah, you're not exciting me, Joe. You're not exciting me. It's also not exciting to see Chaos Williams versus Carlston Harris. I don't know. What are they doing to us? Like, these guys, they can be fun. Like, Chaos Williams, he can be fun.
Yeah.
On the early prelims of a stacked event, you know?
Of course.
But
yeah, not actually in front of my eyes. You know, against my will. Like, this is like, I don't want to see that, to be honest, so probably won't. But, you know, I'm hyped for Newmancer. Derek Lewis, I mean, whatever. If he can knock him out in 2 seconds, that'd be great. Right. Listeners, thank you so much for joining us. We will be back. UFC 302. That's right. That was our fight night previews we've just done for you. UFC 302. Makhachev versus Poirier. Man, that card stinks. That card absolutely stinks. Roman Kopylov, though.
I mean, if they make Delitse versus Fluffy Hernandez, if you end up with Jalton Almeida fighting on there, and Sean Strickland, Paulo Costa, if those fights happen, you know, then those are redeeming. I guess. Anyway, listeners, get hyped for that. We'll be back for that one, and we'll see you later. I'm the champion. Good night, goodbye, and Tom, see you later. God bless, Joe.
God bless indeed. Bye-bye.